Hello and welcome to the Navy Blue Corner. I'm Ian, joined as always by my good mate Lockie. And apologies for this episode coming out basically the morning of our Brisbane Lions game. But hopefully you can use this episode as a bit of pre-game listening on your commute into Marvel Stadium or your commute home. If you've had enough of Carlton and you don't want to go, I will not blame you for that anymore. But the Blues, unfortunately, are still rubbish, Lockie. Not a lot has changed. So how are you going? And is it weird that I'm at the point where I'm enjoying and would much rather watch the twos at the moment than the ones, because somehow that is much better to watch? Lockie, how are you?
It's a weird time to be us, isn't it? So many different emotions. I'm excited for the game tonight, though. I'm delusional. I think that we can win. Why not?
Goodness, Lockie.
I don't know. It's a different kind of feeling, I guess. It's probably similar to last week. Like nothing's really going to change, I feel like, emotion-wise over this little period. But, I'm just trying to enjoy the little things. There was little things for me to enjoy last week, even though I left feeling sad.
Yeah, well, what was your kind of emotions throughout the game? Because I think I've been someone who, I don't know if my brain's just trying to protect me at the moment, but I'm not feeling a lot of emotion watching these games. I'm not feeling the anger, the frustration. As soon as things start to just play out, it's almost just silence inside my head as I watch it, which feels really strange. There's like this real disconnect in what I'm watching and what I'm experiencing. You're obviously getting a little bit more or trying to find some sort of positive to keep you going because of how bad it is. How are you feeling throughout these games? Is there still that anger? I'm just very interested to know your journey, and anyone who's watching, listening to this, drop it at the comments on YouTube or let us know at Navy Blue Corner, because we're all battling, and I'm just really interested to know and get that, I guess, the emotions of how people are coping with it all.
It's definitely a very personal experience, I think, how everybody deals with this kind of thing. You and I often reflect on like previous eras of Carlton where I would go into a game being like, I really think that we can get within 5 goals today. And that was like a win. Like it's a win if we're competitive in this game. And I guess just where I am now with Carlton is I'm genuinely going into all of these games, no matter how rubbish we have been, no matter who is not playing, no matter how little of a game plan there is, no matter if we're playing the best team in the league, like I've still got this hope going into every game, which I guess in reflection is a nice change from where we were 7 years ago. And it's weird because it is kind of unfounded, because this game went exactly how you would expect that it would. The first quarter and then after the first quarter is exactly how you and I would have drawn it up last week on the podcast. So it's hard for me to get too down. Like I'm agreeing with your point really about kind of that steady emotion, because how can I get too upset or angry when this is kind of expected? Like it would kind of be delusional of me to be, get that upset about a loss in this manner when it's kind of what we've seen week after week.
Yeah. And it feels like nothing can really be changed or improved really till the end of the season, until the off season. So we're kind of just in this lull now where, and I hope it doesn't make really crappy content, because we're going to be here every week doing these podcasts, but it's just going to be the same thing. They're not going to magically turn this around and be a finals team or almost get into finals. I don't think that's what's going to happen. So it's just going to be a weird, what are we trying to get out of it? How can we get any enjoyment in football? And me this week, I'll be going, and it's just a time for me to go to the footy with my mum, which will be nice to just spend it with family and try to get that kind of enjoyment back into football rather than enjoying probably what's going to be shown on the field. But going and kind of reviewing this game a little bit before we move on to the Lions and all those other big talking points, I think the big thing out of that Port game was the massive lack of effort. A lot more heat and questions came onto the playing group over the coaches. It felt like, okay, maybe it is the list that is a big part of this problem. It's not just Michael Voss. A couple of questions are, did you see a response? And has that loss against the Pies and the performance changed your thinking at all on who is maybe more to blame and where that balance kind of lies?
Definitely not to the second part of your question. Like as I said to you before we started, I've consumed zero AFL media content since the game. Like I've just kind of taken a step back from all of that. I don't need to hear more opinions about who's to blame and whatever. Because I think with this stage that we're in right now, there is genuinely just so many problems and it's so complicated to try and point fingers. I just don't find it useful to do right now. So I kind of haven't had that mindset in this last week. I definitely think there was some kind of response. It definitely felt different to me to the Port game. Just simply not good enough. Like like where the players just aren't good enough. The game plan isn't good enough. The decision making, because of the pressure, there's so many individual moments you can point at and go, I feel like that they made that decision because of the pressure, either on the team or on the individual. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely still more on the coaching side of things, and this game almost shifted it more that way than on the playing
Really?
group. From what I
Okay.
saw, I thought the effort
Tell
was
me
at
more.
least there to a degree, so that I couldn't kind of question as much as the week prior. And I'm watching it, and as it's unfolding, all I can think is I actually think they're putting in effort, whether it is 100% or not. There is some
Yeah.
effort there. But I just think the way in which we're going about it is just not maximizing anything. And it's leading to this lack of 100% buy in. And I'm looking at it and I'm not necessarily, thinking, oh, if we just maybe recruit a couple of players, it'll turn around. I'm just seeing what has been built, the coaching, the culture, the standards, everything that for me falls, unfortunately, as much as it is multiple people, kind of falls then on that head coach. And I just don't think he's up to it. I don't think we're going to get it fixed. And I'm just starting to think, how much more evidence do I need that this just isn't the right fit right now?
Mm. So I guess so is the other side of that point then that with the right coach, things would be completely different for you. You think this
I
season
think
would have
that'd be
looked different.
I think that'd be a lot better. I still think we're not that top 4 team. I think evidently there's problems on the list. Like every single week I'm saying we're not maximizing what we have. We're not getting the most out of it. And I
Yeah.
think the big realization I had out of this game, happy for you to disagree,
Yeah,
is
please.
I no longer think this team is full of bad ball users, particularly by foot. Now, the evidence, if you watch this game, horrific kicks, horrific turnovers, which isn't strengthening my argument. But what I
Mhm.
saw so often was we would pick the ball up, we'd win the football.
Mm.
And anyone who's ever played footy, I don't care what level, you understand certain areas of the field that you would ideally like your teammate to be in to move the ball forward. And how many times do we win the ball? There is no one there. It's
Yeah.
4 Collingwood players in the prime target inside 50. And sometimes we'd kick it there and it'd go straight to 4 Collingwood players. Or there's no one in the position you need to be. So now there's pressure because you're having to think of your second option, your third option, and there's no one is where you would ideally have your players positioned. And then all of a sudden the pressure builds, turnover, poor decision, or they're trying to make something ridiculous happen. I think the
Mhm.
reason the kicks are so bad and the decision making is so bad is because the structure that is around them is not built for purpose.
Mm.
You can talk about we defend with too many behind the ball, so then when we spread, it's not there. But Charlie has to work high up the ground, get to the mark. There's no one, there's no options. So how can you expect them to have to nail a target when there is nothing easy about the way in which we move the football? I just think the
Yeah.
system and the coach is so poor that even if we're not the greatest kicking side of all time, you find ways to mask that, to work your system so you don't have to rely on these amazing kicks. And clearly right now
Mm.
we're not doing that. And that's kind of where I'm looking at everything saying you can't just continually recruit guys who can't kick. We have to be better than this. And I think a big chunk of that is the system and game plan right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely don't disagree with you that that's an element of this. Like, it's super obvious that that's part of it. But it kind of does lead to my main point, which is just that I think it's so many different things, because there was moments in this game where miss kicks, where the option was there, were things that led to us not kicking a goal or whatever it might be. So yeah, I agree with. I like what you're saying, because when you talk about poor kicking, there's so many different factors that you can talk about that with. So yeah, like what you're saying, one of them is the right option not being there. Another is the right option being there and not executing it, like the miss kick. The other is the option being there and you deciding not to go for it. Like, that's something that's stuck in my head during this game, of how many times we were like, it was 3 good disposals moving the ball up the field, and then you're looking and it's like, okay, we've got 2 guys in the corridor and we just don't even look. And like, Zach Williams played one of his best freaking games for us and had so many good moments. And he's the one that you need to be doing those. And there was a few of these moments where, I mean, he's probably my 3 votes for this game. There's a couple that I remember where I'm like, bro, why did you kick the ball 55 meters to Darcy Moore when the options are there in the corridor? So yeah, I don't know. I agree. I agree with you that that's definitely part of it, but there's just so many things going wrong.
Yeah. Oh, there is. Like, everything's bad right now. And I think another component of that is we don't manufacture the ball in the hands of the right people enough, particularly entering the
100%.
ball inside 50.
Always
And I
been a
think
problem.
that's why is that? Why are we not able to do it when opposition seem to always have their best players in the right spots to move the ball where they need to? Instead, we just can't seem to manufacture that. So that's a big frustration. But obviously things are really bad. Do you have any main kind of key takeaways from this, or anything you find you're learning, or any of your opinions are more solidified, evolving? I'm kind of interested to know, because it is hard to really dial in and analyze a lot of this when it is just going through the motions, the same kind of response.
Well, the thing that you and I were texting about during the game, I guess, is the easiest way. The easiest way to get positivity, I think, in times like this is to just think about the future and just don't think about right now, and look at, okay, so is there positive signs for the future? Which actually kind of, the part I'm most interested in this episode is hearing your thoughts on selection and, like you said, the twos, and how much we should be trying to get young players in. I'm interested to hear your opinion on that. Because in this game, like, the biggest positive for me was when Carroll had good moments. Cowan, so exciting. Obviously, O'Farrell, Lord, these guys for the future. Like, it's those moments, Moya even, where I'm like, okay, like, I like that we're seeing more from these guys, and you start to put those guys on the board of, like, okay, I can see them being in that next premiership team, for example.
Yeah, no, absolutely love that. So let's pivot. Let's kind of start the preview of the Lions game with this selection, because there's not too much we need to cover in the Collingwood game. And all my notes, they're kind of overarching themes, so we can weave them in and out here. But it kind of feels like we're kind of well past this point of needing to drop senior players, make a statement, uphold standards. But do you think that's needed? Obviously, we know the teams now. Durden and Chincotta come in for Evans and Akers. Not a big statement. I guess Akers is kind of a senior player being dropped, but it doesn't really feel like a proper statement. So from your point of view, and everyone else watching this or listening, do you think we still need to be making those big statements, dropping some leaders? And then what is that right balance of the youth with experience? Because things are going so bad right now. Even if you bring in all these young players, will that damage their development, their confidence?
Exactly.
If you go too young, where do you kind of sit on that balancing act?
I'm going through this in my head right now. I want you to help me get the clarity, because, like, obvious example, Doherty, and his position, like, I'm sure he's being discussed by everyone, but that role that he's in, where he is the guy that we're going to use the ball, it's not working. No one can tell me that any of that is working. So then, is it actually long-term beneficial to try and put a young guy in that role if it does even lead to worse outcomes this season. Because so many people I know, they get to this stage and they're like, why are the Camporellis not in the team? Why isn't Wilson just playing every week for the rest of the season? When things are going better in the VFL than they are now, and is it actually, like, are they having these conversations between Luke Power and the coaches and going, it actually makes more sense for us to just play Ben fully in the VFL this season and then go from there. Like, I think we're too quick to say, just get the kids in, because the more we expose them, the better. Because it just takes me back to 2018 and those times where we seemingly ruined some of these guys by putting them in the fire too early.
It's a great argument. And I think part of it is also Vossi's coaching for his career at the moment. So he's, from his perspective, he's probably saying, well, I don't want Ben Camporelli in there. I want Hewitt, Chera, and Cripps, because that's probably the best of winning me a game of football. Even though it's not working, it's less risk. To, like, the payoff for Vossi to play the kids is, hey, I might not be here next year, so me developing these guys for next year kind of doesn't, that's not my priority. But I agree with you. There is an element of, I don't want to destroy these kids. And we have said for years how much, when you look at the best teams, a Ben Camporelli will be in the twos for 2-3 seasons. Then all of a sudden he's ready, comes in as an adult and dominates. That's what good clubs do. Geelong do it. Sydney seem to do it. So I kind of agree to a point, but I think there are some pieces around this that definitely need to be playing, and they need to be playing some more proactive roles. A guy like Lockie Cowan showed exactly how he should have been playing since we brought him in. He's an attacking, intercept, running, kicking halfback. Let's stop playing him as a lockdown. What are we doing here? The best part of that game was his burst through the defense, through the middle of the ground.
So hot.
That's exciting. Let's try and get more of that. I think having him and Matthew Carroll be the kind of ball users, attacking players off the halfback is how I kind of want it to play in. So how do we manufacture these sort of elements is what I'm looking at.
Yes.
For me, that was bringing Alex Chincotta in as a lockdown small defender.
Yep.
He's done it previously. I'm surprised they dropped him. Felt like the perfect matchup for a Jamie Elliott. Just, you go defensive, almost play that tagging role in defense, which will hopefully allow these others to look better, rather than what we've had previously of using a Sard or a Cowan, who are these more attacking players, as lockdown. I don't like that.
Agreed.
And then I think Akers is someone whose form has been so bad that for a standards point of view, we just can't be playing you. Let's play a Lucas. Let's play a Binns. Let's play anyone else.
Yeah.
Because these guys have performed, and wing is a role that you're not going to get beaten up. You're not going to stifle your development. A lot of young players are wingers. I think it's almost the perfect role, same as halfback, where you can be protected a little bit more. I think in the coalface is probably the area where maybe a Ben doesn't come in because of that in that conversation.
Agreed.
But almost every other position, I think it's kind of fair game at this point. Let's find the right balancing pieces around that. Let's start a Flynn Young on the high half forward and actually get some run, get some excitement. He's someone who, when he wins the ball, he's wanting to be positive. Ashton Moyer looked really promising. He built into the game his first actual start from first bounce to the end, which I think sometimes you forget because he has come on as a sub a few times. You think, oh, he's playing his fourth game. No, it's his literal first start. And so I thought that was quite positive. So these are the little signs that I think are good. So it's just, a guy like Doherty, I don't mind him maybe being the sub for his versatility, but right now I'm not in the mold of playing him in the position he is, because I think you've got enough defenders, ball users, that throwing in a youngster is probably the better option right now. The experience can be elsewhere.
Completely aligned with you. I think, I really, not being a hater, but I don't understand why Evans keeps getting recalled. Like, it just seems like such a unnecessary move. Like with Durden playing in the VFL, like Evans is not part of our future. Surely nobody thinks that that's the case. So I'm glad to see that one's moved on. I agree with you with Akers. Like, the man should not even wear boots on the field. I don't want him even kicking. Like, he should just be handballing if he is in this team. So yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, Doherty is the other big one. I don't know. Do you think he's getting a contract?
I love Doc. I don't think it's valuable for us to give him another year. I just don't think there's a positive to it right now.
Yeah.
There's enough players in his position I think can take over. Already now, we're kind of calling for it. I think he's served us really well. We love the man. He's done a lot.
Yeah.
But it just feels time. I don't think we're getting a positive influence from his game enough for his age.
So yeah. So I mean, I guess with these couple of changes, there is scope for us to see more of these exciting things, I think, in this game, and the young players playing those better roles that you described. I guess that's where I was drawing the positives from the last game, and that's where the opportunity is here now. But I think you and I agree. Like, I think there'd be a lot of fans that would be thinking, just flood this team right now with the players that we think of the future. And I think it's good just to pause for a moment and really think, is that the best thing? And, this VFL team is building chemistry and is stripping that away actually going to be long-term beneficial. And maybe it is. I don't know the answers, but I think it's good to question it.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting discussion. And you mentioned Evans. I noticed something that was a little bit strange. He's been playing small forward and then also kind of midfield in the twos, which I don't know why you're playing him in the midfield. He plays his best game in the VFL touch-wise because he's attending centre bounces, which he's not going to play in the AFL. And then all of a sudden he comes in and plays on the wing for most of the game, and he's in the defensive sort of D50 stoppages because he's pushed down as a winger. And I'm thinking, what's the actual point of playing Frankie Evans as a wing? Is that his position? Is that what we recruited him for? When you look at the articles of, we've signed Francis Evans, was anything saying, there's our next winger? So why are we bothering? Like, these are the weird things that I don't get development-wise. Why do they play a different position in the twos? Why do they come in and play a different role than they were playing in the twos that got them the form to be selected? If he got selected because he was a midfielder, then as much as I don't like it or want it, play him as a midfielder then, because that's what you've selected. That's what you've valued. Like, my issue at the moment is just these weird standards, and it goes to us not dropping key players when they've been out of form. Sard's been out of form for a while. Akers has been out of form. Yeah. McGovern earlier in the season. But we just keep rolling them down. Do you think that this is a bit of a flow-on effect and has caused some of what we're seeing, where there is this lack of effort, there is the lack of performance? Or am I overreaching with this thought that not sending a message, not saying everyone's job is up for grabs, does that cause some of these problems?
God, it's such a hard question, isn't it? You just try and put yourself in their shoes, but it goes back to the effort discussion that you and I have. Like, you just can't imagine preparing the whole week for a game and then coming out with the effort that happened in the Port game. I can't put myself in their shoes like that. So I want to say no, because you just think that these guys are going to give it 100% every week, but it doesn't happen. So maybe it's true. Was there other changes that, like, I don't know, what guys do you want to mention? TDK, I know that you're so off him at the moment. He was so unimpactful. Should Lemmy be in for him?
Well, the worry is, I hate that I found this out today, is that De Koning, if he plays every single game for the rest of the season, he hits 100 games, which means we're in talks of then potential father-sons, which I would have dropped him. And now I'm thinking, shit, do we actually have to play him because of this? And I don't know, his form's just been so bad that's something for me where, to the point where we're bringing in Pitternet to play ruck. That shows you that his form isn't good. We wouldn't be bringing back Pitternet if De Koning was playing beautiful football. Unfortunately, his form's so bad that it's come to this. And I don't know, there's just a few players I feel like we need to move past. Like, I hate to throw up like a guy like Lockie Fogarty, but What is his
Oh,
role in
bro.
this squad? He's in
Nothing.
there as a pressure forward, but he doesn't kick goals. He doesn't pinch hit in the midfield. He's just existing.
Yeah.
Like, people go Motlop for whatever reason. I don't get it. I'll never understand it. Like, anytime you see who's out of contract and they have these discussions, everyone is saying, well, get rid of Motlop. It's ludicrous. Watch some football, please. But a guy like Fogarty, he just kind of escapes and he just sits in this list. And I'm like, Amoya gives me more. Flynn Young
Yeah.
seems to give more. Durden gives more. They can bring the pressure, surely.
Yeah.
I just don't get these kind of roles that some of these players have. And each week you see match selection, you see match committee, and you question it and you think, what are we doing here? That doesn't make sense. Why did we drop Billy Wilson after he barely played one game? That seems ridiculous. What's that doing for his development? So many of these things, week in, week out. But you go, okay, what do I know? I'm not a coach. And then you see it play out poorly for 4 years. And you start to think, shit, maybe I do know more than some of these coaches. I think the standards of what we've set in this space for quite some time has definitely played a big role in what we're seeing right now.
Love to hear your thoughts about the CBA mix. What did you think of Moya getting in there for a few? I was shocked.
I liked it. They've been doing that in the VFL, so that was something that was at least replicated. Him and Williams, just to change it up. We've said this multiple times on the podcast.
So fresh.
If what you're doing isn't working, stop just only going to it. Try something else. Why not?
Yeah.
I think adding in some dynamic players is such a positive. Again, if it doesn't work, it's not worse than what you're already trying. Those are the positive elements for me in these couple of weeks, trying to see something different.
Agreed. I think I'm excited by that. Williams was exciting in this. I know we're kind of jumping all over the place here, but I'm kind of digesting all this for the first time. I'm so down on Chera at the moment and his role in all of this. And I don't know what to do with him because he has to be like a key leader right now. And what we're getting is just not anywhere good enough. So I don't know how that should be looking this week against a fantastic midfield.
Are you worried that Chera is not the player we maybe thought he was, or is he just symptomatic of this whole iteration of us not working? Because a few years ago, he looked incredibly dynamic, things were working, but right now he feels, and this is going to be very disrespectful to a certain player, but it reminds me of like a Jack McRae, a Tom Mitchell, where you get plenty of the ball, that's fine, but you're not impactful. And when you've got a midfield currently, you have George Hewitt that does the inside stuff better, is doing the distribution better. You've already got Cripps who is the inside bull. We don't kind of need another accumulator that doesn't impact.
Yeah, that's my worry.
So it feels like we can't have those three in there playing this way.
Yeah.
It's not the right fit.
No, I couldn't have said it better. It's just not going to work with this mix moving forward. Like having Williams in there, it just shows how just adding a different layer of dynamism just completely changes everything. And it's not going to be him. Like he's not the guy in 3 years in this midfield, Williams. But it has to be more players like him. You've been talking about this for ages. Like it's, the league is just going in this direction. And I don't think that Chera is going to be like, maybe there is a different kind of role for him in like the post Cripps Hewitt midfield. But right now, like we just have to change something.
The mix isn't right. So at least I guess that's a positive. They're trying something different. Agreed. Talking a bit about standards, that's kind of one of my main things this week is Vossi sounded a bit better in the press conference with something he said that I want you to unpack. He came out and said, we let our club down tonight. And then he spoke about that the performance and what we are doing, didn't live up to the expectations. This is the rhetoric we've kind of been asking for quite some time. However, it does feel harsh to also condemn him and say, and criticize him saying this because it's almost like he can't win in whatever he does.
Oh, of course he can't.
Why has it taken 4 years for him to learn how to properly talk to this passionate fan base? And when you hear him say little things like that, does that win you over a little bit more, or is it too little, too late that you see him going, Cripps and some of the leaders saying, the effort's fucking deplorable, and
Yeah, that got me.
these kind of rhetoric, is it signs that he's finally learned and this is going to get better, or is it too little, too late? I kind of want to hear your thoughts around these signs.
Yeah, no, you're going to have stronger opinions on this than me. Like, I, I, I get why people are responding differently to it because it is different words, but to me, it is all just kind of the same thing. And I don't mean that in a negative way either. Like, I just think he's so, yeah, like you said, how can he win in these situations? And I'm not saying that it's not his fault, because we do think that he is a big problem in all of this. But yeah, what can you do?
Yeah. No, it's tough to criticize when you finally get things you're wanting, but yeah, I think in my mind it does feel too little, too late, that the efforts and everything we're seeing isn't there. And I think after 4 years of you doing the same thing, it feels like it's too late to try and change that. If you've accepted something for so long, if you then try and tell someone, okay, that's not the standard anymore, it's a lot harder to hear that and actually take that advice on, because you've been hearing a different message for 4 years. Do you have that respect? Can you go and do that? Or is it time for a fresh voice? That's kind of where I'm sitting in this space. And yeah, it's just frustrating that it's taken this long to try and pull that lever. Part of you also thinks, are they simply doing this now because that's their final resort rather than them actually learning their lessons?
Yeah, no, I have 1,000 more questions than I have answers for all of this. Like, it's just, it just feels like the perfect storm of everything. Like, you just go through these players in this game, and like, I'm just thinking about the fucking deplorable clip. But it's like Cripps has gone from like one of the most dominant seasons ever to what he has been showing now. All of our leaders not performing. Like, what's happening to Wiedering? What on earth is happening to Charlie? I don't know. This is why it's so complicated, because while I agree with you that the coaching and the game plan is like not helping anything with this, I don't know. No, it is so hard to pinpoint whether the output that we're getting from these players, where to point that finger. I don't know.
Yeah. I think where my brain is going is, it's not just that system and coaching. It's all the other things. It's culture. It's what you demand. It's those standards that week in, week out, what are you valuing? And the team selection hasn't been good for 4 years. How many times have we come on and screamed and raved about, how is this guy still getting a game on form, or strange selection this week that didn't seem to make sense? You see it play out and you go, that didn't make sense, and it didn't pan out at all. It happened how I thought it would. And you think about on the training field, like, what are they doing out there? Are they missing a kick and it's tap on the bum, all good, let's get them next time? Or is it, no, let's stop the drill. Let's stop the drill, boys. Like, little things. I don't know. It's silly. I don't have that experience.
No,
but
I think it's
I remember playing for one team, and it was very much just, you just train, and we didn't win any games. And it just kind of was what it was. And obviously I went to a different club and there was a high standard of footballer, but there were different things in training of, boys, if the ball hits the ground, we're doing push-ups because that's what we accept. Or, hey, no one's getting this, we're going to keep doing this drill until we nail it. And just little things of standards that obviously we don't know what goes on in an AFL level. You'd think it'd be high, but when you see the efforts on the field, you start to think, well, what are they accepting out there on the training pitch? And are they actually saying, boys, we have to make these kicks, and if we don't, the session doesn't end? What are we pointing out in the video during the week? Is it the efforts? They said all week, you're going to see a response. If someone's not doing it in the ones, we'll find someone in the twos that will. Yet we make 2 changes when no one in the ones was performing. So what
Yep.
it just feels like a mixed message.
So
It feels like
yeah.
there aren't these standards that are being upheld to. It just feels all over the place. And I don't know. I think I'm at that point as a fan into this regime where I just want change. And is that what's right? Maybe it's
Mhm.
not, but I feel like a fresh voice is needed over this that
Yep.
can set those high standards, because clearly they're not. They're not there. And the rhetoric that's come out of Voss for 4 years has been, we're working on it. We're just going to keep going and we'll back them all in. That hasn't worked. I think we need a sterner voice.
I think you've touched on some really,
Mm,
really strong things there. And I like what you said about like what are they pulling up during the week and showing? And you know, what are the things that they're rewarding and saying this was the right thing and this was the wrong? So can I ask you a really specific example of that?
yep.
Kerno, outside 50, wheeling around.
Mm,
One, do you think that and burning players? Do you think one that that's something that they would bring up in the week? And two, what do you think the instruction is there?
mm,
Are they saying, Charlie, you do this, you're the guy, you're the leader, you go for those kicks because if you get them, you're going to start rolling, the crowd's going to come into it. That's you putting the moment, or is this the time where it's like you need to be the leader
mm.
by being more selfless?
It
What do you think?
seems like it's the you just do it, Charlie. You're the leader, because he's been doing the same thing for so long. And you'd think there'd be some sort of visible repercussion for it. Like, I have no issue with him wheeling around, but is there a better option? So often there is, and he burns it. That's when I have the problem. So it's repeat behaviors from so many of these players that causes me to have to go back and question standards, and to unfortunately put blame on one person, even though I know it's not just one person.
Yep.
That culture, those standards, it falls on one guy's head. And at the moment, that's Michael Voss. He's in that position. So I have to question him mostly at, well, you're the one that's meant to drive this from the start, from the head down. Why is it the
Yeah.
way it is? And a big part
Mm.
of this for me, and maybe these players aren't those players, but I feel like it's something we've spoken about for a long time. And I think it's just going to hold us back, and we won't win anything until this is in the squad. And I
Mm-hmm.
do think it's something that you can change mentally. We've seen at our best, we can be like this, but there's
Mm.
just far too often, there's just a lack of aggression
Oh,
from our players. And you look at the way Collingwood take that game, they have monstered us. They've got our number mentally, physically. They bully us every time we play them. They
yes.
go out there, they want to inflict as much damage into us as possible. You can see it. You know, they hate us. They talk about us in interviews all the time. They hate Carlton. They think we're shit. They think they dominate us. They basically do.
Yeah.
I don't think we think about that at all. And then you see so many moments. There's gang tackles of Carlton players into the ground. They hold us down for a while. No one remonstrates from us. No one goes in and makes sure that next tackle for us is harder, that we retaliate. And I just think that that lack of aggression, that lack of care and want to inflict it on the opponents, people often say, well, the players just aren't like that. If they aren't, and if you're not putting that into them, I just don't think you're going to be that ruthless winner. At times, it seems like we're too nice, and that projects to fans as a lack of care. And that's when you get that disconnect from the performances that you see where, hey, I see Lockie Cowan showing some effort and I get excited, but I see so many other efforts that I'm not excited about. And there's about 5 guys from that game that I could pinpoint and say I was happy with what they did. And that all comes down to the aggression, the
Mm.
fire, the passion. And again, when it's not there, I'm going back to the top of why you're not instilling this in these players and building over 4 years those that have it and don't. Do you think that's a real key part of building a successful side, having that aggression that you see a team seemingly like Collingwood show against us?
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's always something that I've wanted. It's something that we've lacked It's why I fell in love with Stocker in his early days. I don't know the answer, but I think it has to be clear that our current coaching group doesn't think that is the way. Otherwise, surely we would see it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's what we saw from Voss in his career, and it's not what we've seen from him as a value as a coach. And yeah, so I can't say that it definitely is what we need, but everything you said about the relationship between us and Collingwood and how that all is so clear. And I just don't understand that when a player gets gang tackled, how we don't just take that extra effort to show that we are a team and we care about each other. Because that's something that came so naturally to me as one of the worst athletes ever. It was like the absolute least thing that I can do as an athlete is support my teammates. Like, I don't even have to do it. Like, if I'm not getting the ball, at least I can stand up for people and make them feel supported on the field. It just doesn't seem like that is a value.
And the times that we've played our best footy is when our tackle pressure has been electric. So I feel like that's such a big thing that just again, I'm not an AFL coach, so maybe this is too simplistic to look at it that way. I'd love us to interview a coach at some stage on this podcast to get these little insights, but can you just not strip it back and be the focus for the week? All these effort, like, just show the highlight reel of all the time Collingwood gang tackled us and no one there did anything, and zoom in on the faces of the Carlton players that did nothing and be like, boys, literally this week, basics. All I want from you, I don't care about the kicks, don't care about the handballs, don't care about anything else. All you need to do is tackle, support your teammate. If someone tackles your teammate, go in. If it starts a fight, it starts a fight. Like, let's just genuinely bring some aggression to what we do. And then does that bring some energy? Does that bring the camaraderie, the confidence that I'll go hard for that football because I know no matter what happens, the whole team is going to run into it and get back into it for me. And then that can just build everything else. And I feel like that element of what we are right now doesn't exist. There's no effort. Do they not believe in the game plan? What is it? I don't know. But if we can start with that aggression and that standard setting of no matter what you do, you fight for your teammates, and I don't care what happens. Miss all the goals in the world, lose by 100 points. But anytime someone gets tackled, let's go. It's on. Don't you touch any of our players. We'll tackle you harder next time. It feels like such a basic thing that could build into more. And
yeah.
If every week we got beaten by 100 points, but you saw 22, 23 guys that gave everything every single time the ball was there, showed the passion and aggression, you'd be able to live with it a little bit more. And then the skills will build, the game plan will build, but we've got that core ethos.
Yeah.
Feels like we don't have that. And right now I'm looking at that as the main thing that I'm wanting to see for the rest of these 8 rounds. Like, show some aggression in what you do. Show some passion.
The thing that hurts is that last week was the perfect time for that. If ever there was going to be a time, it would have been this game.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen. What are the leaders of this club doing? That's players, that's coaches, that's everyone. And when it's not there, questions get asked. But yeah, it'll be an interesting one this week. The Lions at Marvel. Not confident. No one is confident. But
we can do it.
We're going to be there. We're going to be watching. That's what we're here to do. Big shout out to everyone watching this on YouTube right now, because big milestone at time of recording, unless everyone has unsubscribed in droves, which absolutely could happen. It's my worst fear. We've hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So massive thank you to everyone that has subscribed, that watches, that listens. It means the absolute world to us. It's a target that's always there. Pretty much after you hit like 1 subscriber, you're like, let's get to the 1K. So to be able to do that is amazing. The fact that people want to listen, they're engaged and are interested in the conversations we have each week is just absolutely unreal. So huge shout out to everyone, particularly to do it in such a shit time, supporting the Blues. Yeah, absolutely just means a lot. So
Yep.
big shout out to everyone who is doing a lot more than the boys on the field at the moment. But we will be back next week for sure with a big bumper episode. And the week before, I went big and went after some journos in a bit of a Blue Torch segment. Lockie off pod promised me that this week he would give me something. He hasn't. He's lied to me. He's broken his promise.
Next week is the week.
And broken my heart. So I'm putting it live right now on the pod that Lockie has promised next week that he is going to go hard at some journos in the media. New segment will be unleashed with some fury from Lockie. So everyone has to hold him accountable. The way we hold these players and coaches accountable, got to hold ourselves accountable. So I'm looking forward to that, Lockie.
I really do honestly appreciate the accountability of this now being out there. I'll be putting the work in. It means I have to consume the mainstream AFL media, but I'll do it. I'll do it for the Navy Blue Corner fam.
That's it. So if we lose and it's all disaster, at least we've got that to look forward to next week. But that is going to wrap things up. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing on YouTube. 1K is absolutely unreal. We'll be back next week. Blue Torch will be huge. Up the bloody baggers. See you guys next time.